patriarchs and pop-sickles. Access your father file, cast a firm eye on your brimming brood, and of course I won't fall asleep during this podcast. I've got the vitality of it.
Because it's time to talk dull to me.
Should I leave the hose on? Welcome back, I am Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are Fatherless Momes.
And this, my brethren, is Talk Dull to Me.
A competitive barbecue and New Balance fashion show at the Lawnmower Convention of Prog Rock, in which nurturing Nick and open me up another beer Omen will lay down a heavy dose of discipline onto each and every toddling track that dad bod rock band Jethro Tull has ever whelped into existence. We will pluck the paternal strings of Papa Bear Joe Parrish, humiliate the half-sized humans with John O'Hara, and glop guilt upon the gummy bear troupe of David Goodyear. And if we finally can get straight A's, eat up all of our vegetables, and catch the long pass at the homecoming game, we may finally earn the love and respect of the king of the Claghorn, the daddy-o of the diminuendo, the paterfamilias of polyphony, the sire of the Shire, Ian Alphadad Anderson.
I just want a game of catch with Ian. That's all I want. I just want his acceptance.
Someday, not today, but soon, he'll have time.
I feel like we're getting close.
Yeah, it could be any day now. Nick, welcome back.
Omen, hello. Another week, another song off of Rock Flute.
Time continues its relentless march onward into oblivion, and we keep talking about Jethro Tull.
I mean, it makes me forget about that timeless march, so...
Exactly. Here's your little respite from the march to oblivion that we're all on.
Yeah.
Nick, speaking of oblivion, what are we talking about today?
So today we are on track 3 off of the most recent album. We are on Allfather.
Wow.
Yeah. We are officially a quarter of the way through this album. 3 of 12 already.
That's mathematics?
It's math. You can take some scrap paper and do it out if you need to. I'll wait.
It affrights me.
The last episode, we were talking about 30-second notes. You were talking about it, and you were like, first you have an eighth, and then you have a 16th, and you were like, you did it so well, like you knew the math there of fractions. Fractions are hard.
That's applied math, not theoretical pure math. If it's related to carpentry or music or, you know,
how many slices of pizza I can eat.
I was gonna say drugs.
Oh my God. Wow, very dark. Very different, you and I.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to listen to and then talk about Allfather, the Ode to Odin.
Let's load it in to our ears. Oh, I'm not happy about that.
I'm going to sacrifice one of my ears to never hear that joke again.
Worth it.
Every time signature. How many can we fit? Every single one.
Can you count them? You may die. Your brain will melt and pour out of your ears now. Grab a tissue.
Nick, there was Allfather.
That was not a pop song by Katy Perry. That was Allfather by Jethro Tull.
And yet, one could be forgiven for putting that into the pop pipe and smoking it.
It's Tull pop. You know, we've had a couple of these rear their heads, and we're like, I could see that as being classified as pop, but it's clearly you're looking at pop with like a great lens. What's it called? What's the gel that you put over a theater lens? A gobo?
It's called a gel, actually.
There's what's a gobo?
A Fresnel?
No.
A gobo is what you put that has a pattern in it that projects a pattern onto the stage.
Then it's a tall pattern. I stick with gobo, and it's a tall pattern. On a
Okay.
pop song.
Do you remember when you first heard this track? What your thought was?
Oh gosh, I think it was kind of surprise at like what is this sound coming from? Given Voluspo and Ginnungagap being so meaty and heavy, and in addition, we'd also already heard the Navigators and what was the other one?
Hammer on Hammer.
Hammer on Hammer, right?
Yeah, all of which is very dark, heavy,
So chunky.
serious.
And this one is like, okay. Does this belong on here? Maybe not. I'm with it though.
I think I texted you All Father by Candy Colored Rain.
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the sound I was expecting to a song about Odin, All Father.
I know.
But I'm here for it. I like it a lot. It's so fun. It is so reminiscent of, the sound of the 70s in a way.
Yeah.
But then there's also, it gets a little bit more dark and serious as we go further into it. But
Yeah.
for me, what does it is the peppiness that is coming from the drums.
Oh, the drums are so good through this. Solid. Very solid all the way through. Very good. Yeah.
How can we help you? How can we bring you?
It's fun. It's colorful.
It is. Everybody's coming in with on their fun setting, except for JPJ, which really makes it really potent when we do hear him.
Eye for a lie, tooth for a tooth, and from the branches above the well.
Yeah, everybody's having a gay old time.
I am particularly fond of the intro with David Goodyear coming in, introing the whole thing with the bass. Dum 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 bum. Dum bum.
That weird little like hitch in the giddy up right at the beginning.
It's kind of a classic bass intro, but the fact that that's what we hear first, I love it.
Hang on, let me listen to it again.
It's super quick.
Oh yeah. Boop, boop, doop. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so quick. It's so quick.
And it sets up the ear. Like if you literally just started with dee 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 dee. I think it would have a different effect, but the fact that we have this it's the counter movement before the movement
Yeah.
that makes the first movement look so much bigger.
And that literal first second of this pop song makes that a Tull pop song. Because I would never expect that in a pop song.
Katy Perry would have just started with the flute.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the synth and little splashy cymbals. Yeah.
Yeah.
That part is so fun though. I had never noticed it until listening to it earlier today. And I was like, what is that? Is that an accident? Is that, cause it almost like it's on the cusp of like, does this feel right? Does this not feel right? It's obviously not an accident.
You know what they call it it's a pickup.
Yeah.
So if your measure starts here, you can have a partial measure here, or you have a full measure that you just play on the last bit. So if it's instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 5. Or in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the time signatures, I want to discuss some of the doubling that is happening.
Yes, please. I think the first instance of doubling we have is the synth, I reckon, right?
I didn't even notice that one. Why
no.
don't you tell me about that, and then I'll talk about the other two.
We have that in conjunction with Ian's very beginning, that ba-da, 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 da. In the background, it's very light and fun and silly. And then when that kind of intro ends, it transitions into more of a regular synth sound. But I think that there's a little bit of a layering in there. Could be wrong. There's a lot going on.
Okay, so yes, absolutely. And I think you're talking about the synth doubling on the melody that the flute is playing, yes?
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's what I'm hearing.
And that is totally in there. It's like a beautiful cake that you're cutting into, and you're like, oh my God, the layers of this keep going. And every buttercream in here is a different flavor. And What I was referring to was the fact that Ian is playing double flutes a lot of the way through this. And then as soon as he starts singing, we have double voice.
Our Father.
And I think that that is not only a musical technique, but also thematic.
Oh, so when you're saying double, you're not saying flute goes up this way, flute goes down this way. You're saying two flutes playing the exact same thing.
I don't know that they're playing the exact same thing, but
Darn close.
there are two distinct flutes working in conjunction with each other,
Okay.
like two ravens sitting on either shoulder of the singer.
Oh dear.
Caw, caw,
One eye, two ravens.
caw, caw. That was the other raven.
Oh, yeah, you moved your mouth, yeah. I'll grab that one part and drop it in stereo and pan it left and then pan it right for everybody to experience.
You're such a sweetie.
A lot of good instrumentation on this one. Absolutely.
So much.
I do like how we get dark. Once we hit that second verse, it takes us a little darker, and that's when we start to get the call and response between Ian singing and JPJ comes in with some stings in between when Ian stops.
Is that where we have eye for a lie, tooth for a truth?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly where it starts, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Eye for a lie, tooth for a truth, and from the branches above the well.
The construction of the song is a little bit interesting as well.
Yeah.
I kind of, maybe you noted where the actual break happens.
You mean in terms of the white text versus the pink text of old and modern?
Also that.
Oh, okay.
And what I was thinking of is the actual musical break.
Right. It does coincide with the break of the two time periods.
Awesome. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
That break is so fun. It gets heavier, like you said. We have Ian coming in with the second flute part where he feels like he's very improvisational.
Yeah, that's the one that really caught me was he plays around for a bit. Then he repeats that same track, and then his light flute comes up over that.
Yes,
and that's where
yes.
it feels improvisational. It's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of up and airy. It's a lot of fun.
It's really cool.
Maybe it's like a raven flying.
Perhaps a raven flying through the sky,
Oh.
represented by a flute.
Oh, goodness.
And then we also have, when they come back in, we have Ian speaking the text.
The heavy door closed with a thud.
Very a la Hot Mango Flush.
A bit, yeah.
Ladies with ice cream hair, gyroscopic pink neon beams.
With JPJ.
Yes, very chunky, very nougaty mouthfuls of guitar at that point. Very, very mouthsome.
Yeah. Very tonguish.
Yeah.
Very salivatory.
So yeah, at about 2 minutes is I think where there's kind of a little bit of a second breakdown. It's not quite.
Yes.
I think it's right before. I'm pretty sure it ends with the gift of learning's afterglow, and then we get a bit of an instrumental before we get into the afterglow, All Father.
Wrap up.
Yeah. But that guitar at about 2, the flute at about 2 really makes me think of the Christmas album a little bit, actually.
Oh, interesting. Melody, but it's kind of the vibe.
Right, yeah.
It's the brightness.
Yes.
We're getting this celebratory, fun sparkle from this song that I think, again, wasn't expecting from this album. Delighted to observe it.
Yeah.
And does feel kind of Christmassy. It's a little bit like one of those wines that's not like a champagne sparkle, but like a little sparkle.
Just a little sparkle wine.
It's a little sparkle.
Yeah, this is our first respite from the really heavy dark. We're going to go back into dark for a bit, but near kind of halfway through the second half, I think, is where it starts to pick up again and lighten up. Kind of a lot like Zealot Gene, if I'm honest.
I will never not miss Martin Barr playing on Jethro Tull.
Yes.
However, I am starting to really enjoy and look forward to hearing Joe Parrish Jr.
James.
Joe Parrish James Jr.,
The third Reginald Esquire.
Duke of Northumberland.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's so different from Martin, yet he still kind of encompasses this sound that Martin built into the DNA of Tull,
Yes.
but he does it in his way. It's like generations removed. It's still there. You still see the parentage of it. It's honoring that,
Yes,
but
yes.
it's his own way. And when he breaks from that, boy, it's really like it's pleasant. It's kind of shock to the system.
It's like you have Hank Williams Sr.
Yes.
and then Hank Williams Jr. Nobody talks about because
No.
we not with his reasons. And then Hank
Google it.
Williams the third. You have that voice. It's like it skipped a generation. And it coming back in a different form, and he's totally a different person and using it to tell the story that he wants, but you hear the thought behind it, but you're like, oh my God, that is totally the grandson of Hank Williams Sr.
Okay. I believe you.
He's the only musician that I'm aware of who released both a country album, a punk album, and an album of something called Cattlecore the same year.
Is this senior or the third?
The third.
Okay.
Not senior. Yeah, Cattlecore is like auctioneer sounds over screamo metal music.
Is he the only one that has ever made Cattlecore?
It's possible.
It's possible. I'm interested, though. I'm intrigued. I will listen to 30 seconds of the first track and be like, okay, I've heard enough.
That's long. The reason it's called Cattlecore is because if you can listen for more than 8 seconds, you win a prize.
Oh, challenge accepted.
You got a bit more than once.
Nick, it's time to talk about time signatures.
Let's go out to hunt by numbers.
So with my very rudimentary time signature knowledge, I was counting, trying to make 4/4 fit or 8/4. But as we will learn in a moment, like I kept losing a foot every single time. I was like, why? What's going on? Where is it? And I could not adjust.
Why am I always behind? Yeah.
Like it worked once every, 2, 3 or 4, I think it falls. But it's not 4/4.
The funny thing is, there is 4/4 in here.
Really?
Yeah, in the break.
Oh, maybe that's where I felt like, okay, I got it. And then it changed up. I was like, I was clearly wrong that time.
In some of the break, there is 4/4. That initial opening, though, the da 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 da, that is in 5/4,
Classic Tull, 5/4.
which is classic Tull. Yeah, we 5 kings. Living in the past.
Living in the past. Yep.
A bunch of other examples.
Dave Brubeck.
Dave Brubeck, that classic Jethro Tull song, Dave Brubeck.
Yep.
We also have some 3/4 thrown in one of the later breaks, I think. So it really is it's a smorgasbord of time signatures.
It spans the 4s.
All of the 4s.
All of the 4s.
We don't have 7/4. We don't really have 6/4. Well, I guess you could count the 3/4 is a 6/8.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't matter.
Who cares?
But no, it's fun, and that's what gives it that. That's what, as you say, that's what brings the tull to pop.
Yes, absolutely. Exactly. I mean, Living in the Past was a poppy radio song, and it was 5/4.
Probably the only 5/4 radio hit ever in the history of the world,
Bold statement.
in the history of the galaxy.
Yes, that's more accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wacky. It's all over the place. It really kind of keeps you on your toes, even though you don't know what's going on, why it is. And in addition, like this song clips, it's like it's under 2:45. It's a quick
Wow.
one.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
So that also, I think that the wacky time signatures, the brightness, the lightness, it all keeps you kind of swept up and like, I don't know what's going on. I dig it though. And then it's done before you really settle into it.
I feel like I have listened to this song more times in a row than most other Jethro Tull songs. I think the first time I listened to it, I was like, I could not possibly
Yes, I need to hear
have
this again.
heard that correctly. Let me take a second look.
Yeah.
And then I was like, surely there's something mistaken here. Let me just triple check.
Did I click the wrong band? Am I in a multiverse situation here? No, this is Jethro Tull from our universe.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe from every universe. What if in every multiverse, the only thing that was the same was Jethro Tull?
The consistent piece is Jethro Tull.
That's the thread that holds the multiverse together. That's why Ian keeps creating albums.
It's the pin. He's the Yggdrasil.
He is
Ah, it's perfect.
a flute biting its own mouthpiece.
Planted the flute and it branches off into all of the members of Jethro Tull.
Oh boy. Nick, anything else to say about the music here of All Father?
Nope, I am very good with that. It's a fun bop.
You are very good with that.
Thank you. No halfway. We'll dive right into the context of All Father. From our Ian Father here, this is the blurb in front of to describe this song specifically. It says, Odin, All Father, wisdom seeker, giver, one-eyed, the other sacrificed in exchange for knowledge, hung from world tree, Yggdrasil, for 9 days and nights to perceive the runes.
Yeah, nothing to add, honestly. That's everything that I know about Odin. And a little bit more.
So Yggdrasil, the world tree, it's kind of the linchpin for all of the realms.
Yeah, and we can talk about some of the overlapping symbolism in Western imagery. The Hanged Man from the tarot deck, one may be familiar with. That is very much a reference to the god who sacrifices himself. Also very much a tie-in with JC of N.
That is true. Pretty darn close.
And even, being nailed to a tree, being nailed to a wooden cross.
Yeah.
One could argue that it's just an evolution of the exact same imagery, or is coming from the same impulse.
Yeah. The sacrifice for something. I'm struggling to think of something for a Greek comparison.
I gotcha.
What is it?
Prometheus.
I mean, kind of. Yeah.
Kind of?
Yeah. No, he sacrificed. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking of like literally the tack onto the tree, but yeah.
He was chained to a rock.
Yeah.
He was chained to a rock for his punishment, for bringing a gift to humanity. It's the same thing over and over again.
That's true.
It's just different flavors.
Yeah. One has grape leaves in it.
One has eagles eating his liver.
Yeah. One has liver in it.
There's a wonderful Greek play called Prometheus Bound. It's one of the only surviving Greek plays that we still have.
Wow.
And I saw a production of it in London, which was great. There was a guy chained the entire time and blindfolded the entire time, acting for an hour and a half in that state. It was very powerful.
It's not a one man, is it? Like
No.
it's not a one man.
No, it's not. No. Oh, no. I saw that at the International Mr. Leather competition.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That was not a play. That
No.
was real.
But it was fun. Maybe.
They didn't need his liver.
You let that trail off for you to use your imagination. So, Yggdrasil comparisons, yes.
Let's talk about the runes.
That's exactly where I was going to go. Omen, what's a rune?
Well, my understanding is it is the Norse form of written language.
It's an ancient Germanic alphabet, actually, used for writing, divination, and magic throughout Northern Europe, Scandinavia, the British Isles, and Iceland from about 100 AD to present day.
Boom.
There are 24 runes in the Elder Futhark, which is the first runic alphabet.
I have to watch my Elder Futhark. It reminds me.
I don't have anything to follow up. That was just good the way it was.
So the idea is that Odin, who is the Zeus-like character, or even in a way perhaps the Kronos-type character, he is the father of all the gods in that regard, sacrifices his own eye for knowledge. And part of the gift of knowledge from the universe is the runic language. So he literally gave the culture an ability to transmit ideas through writing. And I love that alphabet is also so tied to the practice of magic and divination. But there's something very amazing that, the person who was writing the Poetic Edda or recording the Poetic Edda was literally using the gift of Odin to write this thing down. That's so cool.
Yeah, and using them as charms or talismans for divination was literally trying to communicate with those gods as well.
I think there's a bit of a parallel to other writing systems in the world. I think that it's not a direct parallel, but in Judaism, Hebrew letters are considered sacred and, are sometimes used as, if you go into the Kabbalistic, the esoteric mysticism side of Judaism, there's a lot more of using words and letters as divination and as magical tools.
Right. Just in comparison, you brought up tarot earlier, kind of the same thing, divination-wise.
Yeah.
Just anthropologically in general, a written language is a massive game changer.
It's a technology that allows a civilization to form.
Yeah.
Without written language, you are inhibited by how far you can develop as a society. Yes.
Right.
I am very curious, Nick, to hear about where 'tis white and where 'tis pink.
So it is let me show you. So it's exactly where we have that first breakdown, the longest of the breakdowns. So
which is which?
The first three verses is white. So that is our reference to the story of the god itself.
Okay.
That's the kind of historical reference. Pink from the fourth and fifth verse are the Ian contemporary, this is how I translate this.
And we have the same key as we had previously, which is that the first three verses that are more related to the Poetic Edda, possibly the Prose Edda, are all phrased either in third person or in plural first persons. All Father, how can we help you?
All Father, how can we help you?
As soon as it switches, the heavy door closed with a thud, the vast and book-lined hallowed hall sucks me in with endless breast. It swishes to the I, the me.
The heavy door closed with a thud, the vast and book-lined hallowed hall sucks me in with endless breath.
I'm fascinated to kind of keep an eye on that
Absolutely, yeah.
throughout this whole album.
What is the story that Ian is trying to tell in this grander scope of this whole album? What are we deciphering from this, if anything?
What can we read? What can we divine from these runes?
Exactly. Each verse is a rune.
I have a guess. I have something that comes out to me.
For this song in particular?
Yeah.
I also do. What's yours?
Yes.
Oh, I need one?
For me, it seems like the first three verses are describing the past, describing humanity's relationship with this god, etc. And then it switches to, for me, a lot of the song is about, Odin did a lot of different things. This seems to me to be a lot about Odin's gift of learning and knowledge and wisdom to humanity.
And what he did to get to that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when it switches to Ian's perspective, the pink text, pink for Ian, it seems to me about Ian's relationship with knowledge and learning. So for me, what the theme is what is Ian's personal relationship with the Norse gods? Which I think is really fun.
A lot like the last album, what can he take from this story? How can he take advantage of that and learn from it? And either think of something that he can actively do or at least learn from it.
Yeah, and I feel like the previous album, The Zealot Gene, was a little, that this is taken one step closer to the personal.
Oh, yeah.
The Zealot Gene was, here's the story, here's how it relates to you, the listener, in our modern world. This seems to me, here's the story of these Norse gods, and here's how I, Ian, which is so rare,
Super rare, yeah.
are affected by that or in tune with that. What is your interpretation of it?
What you just said, overall, yes, spot on, love it. This song in particular, honestly, it feels like an allusion to retirement.
Go on.
Ian likening himself to the Allfather and sacrificing to bring things to the people. And then this feels like a retirement. The heavy door closed with a thud, with a finality. He is walking down that final book-lined hallway, and like he's going to the great library in the sky.
Wow.
This is what he plans to do.
That's really interesting.
Could be way off base, but
Well, it's your interpretation.
yeah, don't you forget it.
It reminds me of, my family's very learning oriented, lots of books.
Fact.
And I think that there is a tendency with people who are a bit obsessed with knowledge and reading to want to just, go into a library and literally never, like to try to gain complete knowledge, to try to read every single book that there ever was. That there's this fantasy of like, maybe I could learn everything that there is to learn. And gosh,
Right.
if I just had enough time. It's like that Twilight Zone episode where the guy's like, finally, I can read. Oh no, my glasses.
That's not fair. That's not fair at all. There was time now. There was all the time I needed. That's not fair. That's not fair.
Finally, a library all to myself. Oh no, I'm illiterate.
Or the scary door one where he breaks his glasses and then his like eyes fall out or something like that, and he just falls apart. Yeah.
At least there's the large type books.
Yeah.
My eyes.
Prepare to enter the scary door. The last man on Earth. I can read books for all eternity. It's not fair. I can still read the large print books. Ah! Well, lucky I know how to read Braille. Ah!
It also reminds me of the Avatar: The Last Airbender episode with the Spirit Library and the archaeologists who like the library is sinking into the sand. It's going to be destroyed forever. And they're like, come on, we have to get out of here. And he's like, no, I won't leave these books. And they're like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Wait! Professor, let's go!
I'm not leaving. I can't. I've spent too long trying to find this place. There's not another collection of knowledge like this on Earth. I could spend an eternity in here.
Just go!
And really poignantly, it's buried in the sand and it's guarded by this owl spirit because people used that knowledge for evil, for bad.
What are you doing?
I'm taking my knowledge back. No one will ever abuse it again.
He's sinking the building. We've got to get out of here.
And that's something that we don't actually get into with this song.
No,
What are the negative effects of this gift of humanity?
we don't actually, like we do see most of the time where Ian's just like, this is it. This is what I'm telling you. You decide. We don't see a lot of like good or obviously or bad in here. Like he's just saying, this is what Odin did, and that's it, right?
And here's me in a library.
And then I'm in a library, yeah.
And then I got lost in Barnes and Noble.
I love the smell of Barnes and Noble so much.
It's nostalgic and feels naughty. Yeah.
Oh, it's just book.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And perhaps this is unanswerable because of our lack of knowledge of the Poetic Edda.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it fascinating that it's All Father, how can we help you?
All Father, how can we help you?
Not All Father, oh, I'm so glad that you are giving us knowledge, but how can we help you? How can we bring you wondrous notions? How do we read you? How do we will you godly emotions?
How can we bring you wondrous notions? All Father, how do we read you? How do we will you godly emotions?
To me, that feels like whatever entity or whatever thing presence in the Gununga gap, whatever Odin is trading the eye for, that's that entity or collection of things. You give me your eye, I'll give you a written alphabet.
Interesting. I wonder if we know, who did Odin sacrifice his eye?
That was iambic pentameter, everybody.
IDBBBBB.
Who did Odin sacrifice his eye to?
Why, to satisfy his relentless thirst for knowledge, Odin sacrificed one of his eyes in exchange for a drink from Mimir's well, which gave him enlightenment. Who is Mimir?
There are 3 wells at the base of Yggdrasil. One is Urderburner, which is the well of fate, from which the tree was watered by the Norns, who are the fates. The Vergelmir, which is the roaring kettle, in which dwelt Nidhogg, the monster that gnawed at the tree's roots, and Mimmisburner, which is Mimir's well, which is the source of wisdom, for the waters of which Odin sacrificed an eye.
Okay, so there's a couple different versions I'm seeing. Mimir is a water spirit who, like you said, lives in the spring, and there's a well that you can kind of dip into if you have sacrificed your eye. There's another version where he is the wisest of the gods of the Asir tribe. And he was decapitated by the Vanir. It's this warring factions of gods.
This is Mimir. Mimir is the one who was decapitated?
Correct.
Okay.
Odin saved his head and preserved it in herbs.
As you do.
And kind of was able to extract knowledge from it. And I would love a scene played out of that.
Who would play Odin?
Who was the guy who played the Big Lebowski?
Oh, Jeff Bridges?
Yes, Jeff Bridges would play Odin in that version.
I mean, Anthony Hopkins did a bang-up job in the Marvel world, but...
Yeah, but I'm not... But this is not the... Yeah. No,
yeah.
It's Jeff Bridges.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's good.
And then the head would be played by Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi?
Taika Waititi, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, just his head in a basket with herbs on it.
Yeah. So Odin drinks from the well for knowledge, very similar to eating the fruit of knowledge with Adam and Eve. Yeah.
What if it was the same tree?
Yggdrasil was the tree of knowledge?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
The tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah. Just on our plane of existence, which is...
Mannheim.
Mannheim Steamroller?
It's something like that. It's Humanheim.
Midgard.
Midgard, that was it.
That's what you said, yeah.
Mangard.
Yeah, so maybe at the exact same time Odin was taking the sip, Eve was taking a bite of the apple, and
she got punished because she was a woman.
And she talked Adam into eating it.
And neither of them sacrificed their eyes. Maybe that's it.
That's it.
They didn't sacrifice. Well, they did sacrifice, though. They sacrificed their existence in the garden.
But they were tempted by the Lord of the Light. Tempted, yeah. And Odin was just knowledge hungry. See, there's a difference there, though. Like, Odin knew that there was more that he didn't know.
Yes.
You know, I think the Adam and Eve thing is like they were content until someone told them that they weren't.
Yeah, that was more curiosity.
Yeah.
Curiosity killed the cat. Odin was more burning desire for information.
Right. I can still read with one eye.
Yeah.
So the Twilight Zone episode would be Odin getting trapped in a library and super excited, and he runs to the first bookshelf and he trips and pokes his eye out with his pencil.
His other eye, yeah.
His other eye, yeah.
Nick, what is your relationship to knowledge and learning? When have you felt sucked in to the book-lined hallowed hall?
Oh, I'm always looking for more information. I'm always intrigued to learn something new. I just went through a year-long course on podcasting, and I'm constantly trying to evolve in the IT world.
Sure.
You know, and I just like, I don't really read much like really cut and dry, like nonfiction, you know?
Okay.
I suppose I could. I suppose I should. I read a lot of comics and RPG stuff, so...
That counts. Is that not also what Odin sacrificed his eye for?
That's true.
What if Mimir was like, hey, thanks for the eye. Here's series 1 of the Batman. Enjoy. Have a good time.
Odin's like, definitely worth it.
Oh, you wanted the periodic table of the elements? That'll cost you a toe.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I avoided any serious study quite assiduously because it cut into my partying schedule.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I did at times. I got serious about paper writing at various points, usually in the 24 hours before the paper was due.
I was so serious then.
I was very serious. I would have sacrificed any number of body parts. And I remember one time I was on a real studying bender, and I was posted up in the library, and I made a little paper altar to the Greek god Apollo. I drew a little Apollo and set him up on above my computer, above all my books and everything, to try to keep me on the straight and narrow, because Apollo is the god of knowledge and study in Greek mythology. And
it worked.
I passed that course.
Yeah, but I mean, you could have passed any of those courses, right? Because they just gave you a sticker.
Yeah, but I did want to do a good paper. And I did some good papers.
Fat lot of good either of our degrees got us. Actually, you've used your degree a lot more than I ever used mine. My 3 degrees.
Whoa. I only have 1.
Well, so I guess, no, it's a dual bachelor's, right? So it's at least 2 degrees. You don't count the minor, right?
I just have a GE from Sarah Lawrence.
I stay away from minors.
I've learned my lesson. No, it's just a BA.
A lot of BS, if you ask me.
They didn't offer a BS in what I was looking at.
That is actually a bachelor's of science.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I know. But the thing I appreciated about Sarah Lawrence is that more than the individual course studies, the whole philosophy was you have to question everything. Just because we tell you it's a certain way, or just because you read a book that says it's a certain way, question that. And maybe you will reconfirm the thing that was said, or maybe you'll find out that it's more complex, or maybe you'll find that it was actually not the case, or maybe it was the case then, but it's not the case now.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I feel like that was my big takeaway from Sarah Lawrence, is there's always a different, no matter what you're researching, no matter what you're trying to learn, there's always a different way of looking at it. Even if you think you've researched it from 360 degrees, that's just one plane. What if you go on the x-axis? What if you tilt the x-axis, baby?
No one ever thought about the x-axis.
No one ever thinks about the x-axis.
Until now.
The x-axis, the Yggdrasil axis.
The x-axis is the punk band made up of both of our ex-girlfriends.
the x-axis of evil.
I mean, feels like it.
I love the image of from pen to paper, man to child.
From pen to paper, man to child.
That last image is reversed. That almost if you sit down to learn something, you almost have to re-enter a childlike state of beginner's mind.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's always accessible to us if we pick up something that we're not familiar with. So cool.
My favorite line is eye for a lie, tooth for a truth.
Eye for a lie, tooth for a truth.
Yes.
Like it.
Yep.
Well done. Well said.
Playing with a lot of different things there.
Mm-hmm. Hang from the branches above the well, Yggdrasil and Mimir's well. Oh, and 9 days. He hung there for 9 days in the blink of one eye.
Hang from the branches above the well. 9 days pass in the blink of one eye.
Wink.
I mean, that's also another, that's another parallel to Jesus. He was buried for a certain number of days, a magical number of days.
Yep. For 3 days.
And 3 is very significant in Christianity, and 9 is very significant in the Norse mythology.
Oh, right. 9 layers, right? 9 worlds.
9-layer cake.
Yeah, delicious. Oh, it's Yggdrasil flavored. Yum.
Afterglow. All Father.
Nick, what are we listening to next week?
Next week, we are on The Feathered Consort, track number 4.
Until next week, how can we bring you wondrous notions? I'll tell you how. By getting you to sign up for our Patreon and Discord chat. There are so many wondrous notions coming from every which direction with our Discord chat users.
Fellow Tall Skulls, yeah. Born in these waters, a gift for the giving could be a Tall Skull t-shirt, perhaps, or a mug, or a sticker, even a phone case, if you'd like, to give the gift of, which you can do by following the TeePublic link that is found in our show notes.
That sentence structure was a Dr. Seuss painting of subclauses held together with string.
Also delivered by William Shatner, so...
What we learn from the symbols is how you feel about this podcast. And by the symbols, what we mean is the number of stars that you put in your review, or rather attached to it. And a sacred number to us is 5. 5 stars. I will send you my eyeball in the mail if you give us a 5-star review. What am I going to use it for? Seeing things?
Until next week, bathe in my presence, both dead and living. I'm Nick McGill.
Suck me with an endless breath. I'm Omen Thomas Sade.
Feel free to fawn at the feet of the feckless momes.
And this is Closed with a Heavy Thud. Talk tell to me. Welcome to Stamford Eye Center. Do you have an appointment?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Last name?
Allfather.
Let me see if I can find it in the system here. Let's see. Date of birth?
The beginning.
Okay, let me put that in. The beginning. Oh, there you are. Odin?
Odin.
Okay, great. Well, just have a seat and Dr. Slivovitz will be there with you in just a second. Feel free to read a magazine.
Thank you. Women's Day. That Jennifer Aniston, she gets up to antics.
Mr. Allfather? Mr. Allfather?
Yes, that's me.
Right this way, right this way.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead and sit down here. Let's see. Let's take a look at those peepers. I'm just going to shine a flashlight in. All right, we're going to start with eye number 1. Shine that right in there. Wow, great. You have excellent pupil dilation. You can go over here to eye number 2. Oh my God! Okay, well, I see that you had a little damage to this eye.
Is there a problem?
No. I'm surprised and shocked. but is it causing you any discomfort?
No, I see great with the one.
Okay, great. So we're, glasses are going to be half price then.
Speaking of glasses, do you have a line of glass eyes I can look at?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we have those right over there next to the gumball machine.
Don't get them mixed up.
So what brings you in here today, Mr. Allfather?
Well, I figured I should probably get the gaping hole in my head looked at. I mean, I did it. I know it happened. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay.
Sure. Well, it does look like the optical nerve has been cauterized, not through any method that I've ever seen before. So you must have either had a really great surgeon or it was fused by some sort of unearthly interdimensional spirit. I'm not sure which one.
It was the second one. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, they did a great job. So it doesn't look like there's any infection. Are you looking for our different clients want different things? Do you want a photorealistic eye? Do you want something maybe a little bit more fun? Do you just want an eye patch? We also do have a storage option, which is very popular with some of our more criminal customers.
Go on.
Well, I do have some clients who are in the business of running Colombian ecstasy through the borders. And what they find is, a little it looks like an eyeball, then you unscrew it, you've got about, 3 cubic centimeters of space in there. You wouldn't believe how much this bad boy holds.
I like it. I can do that as a side gig.
Let me pop this in here. Let me just grab your eyelid. Okay, how does that feel?
It feels good.
Look to the right.
Okay.
Look to the left.
Over there. Okay.
Look to the right.
Yep.
Okay, it's a little bit behind the other one, but it's not bad. Before we go any further, do you have a ride home? Because I will have to put some drops in your good eye. Do you have anyone driving you today?
Oh, no, I flew my own cloud. Oh, I guess the crows can. I guess the crows can take care of it. They can see.
That's great. Okay, so I'm gonna pop that one out.
Yep. Oof.
Yep. Sorry about that. It's a little bit tense. It gets easier as you go. Now I want to try this one. Is really fun with our Gen Zers. I'm gonna pop this in. There we go. And that one connects directly to TikTok and Snapchat.
I see a podcast option.
Yes, and you're broadcasting everything that you're seeing. It's being directly streamed to YouTube. You've already got 10 subscribers just in the last couple of seconds. Isn't that great?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And we do have that podcast option. If you want that, I think you should go for it. Just you have to sign these runic documents.
Got it. Okay. I have a quill on me right here.
Okay. Wow, you really are good at runes. I haven't seen that good handwriting since ancient medical school.
They just don't teach runes in school anymore.
They don't do that. They don't teach runes in school anymore, and that is what is wrong with Midgard.
It started the downfall, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All the kids know today is tweeting, veganism, being bisexual,
avocado toast,
and not taking out their contacts at night. I tell them you have to. Okay, so you're all signed up. Let me just activate the eye here, and you'll have full range to everything. And there you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, ultimate knowledge of the internet through your eyeball. Isn't that great?
Wow. So I originally sacrificed my eye for all knowledge.
Yeah.
And now I get one and get even more knowledge.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Ultimate disinformation.
Perfect.
Do you want me to turn on the sound option for that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. What do we got?
There you go.
Oh, it's bone conduction. Perfect. Oh, it is an FM radio, though, for some reason.
Help me, baby, one more time.
Talk Tulsa is a proud member of the Feckless Moments Audio Network.